What's going on, guys? Back out here in the garage again today, and we're gonna play with Mark's car some more. So what I'm gonna do right now, I got the coolant cap off. I was just looking at it, trying to plan out where I could try and tie in my catch can, because they actually used the fitting that comes off the manifold here, and they're using that to reference the wastegate and the fuel pressure regulator. So I gotta figure out how I wanna put my catch can in the vehicle here. And I'm probably gonna, so I got to figure out how exactly I'm going to tie into the catch can here with that, with how they have these hoses and everything ran. But I haven't ordered a coolant overflow yet. I'm going to try and look and see if I can find a smaller one than what I have in these cars, because the one that I have in this car is pretty tall, and I don't really have a good spot with his car that I can mount this thing without it being, you know, in the way of something else. And I'm trying to come up with a plan for him that I can put this together and not have it be in the way. That way, if he ever had to do anything, he doesn't have to worry about taking the overflow out first before he does anything else. So the fact that he's got AC, he's got wipers still, the air filter is down in this wheel well, he still has fog lights and the horn. So everything pretty much on either side of the core support, like where I have mine mounted on that car there, is occupied by his car. If he had an intake with a filter or something that was in here, I could probably get away with it, but unfortunately he don't, so we don't have that option. So I'm still rolling that around in my head on what I want to do with it. I still think I want to hang it off of over here somewhere. I'm just not 100% sure how. I might try to see if I can build some kind of bracket to come off of the strut bolt here and then just drop straight down, and then I'll mount the overflow like right here, and then we can run the hose over to it and that wouldn't be a problem. So we'll see. That might work out. We'll play that by ear. First things first, I'm gonna try and get this catch can figured out. I'm gonna put my spill-free funnel on here to bleed the coolant out of this thing, and then I'm gonna fire it up and let it run, see if we got an oil leak, make sure that our cooling system's bled, make sure that it's not gonna bubble or anything on me. Don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to drive it tonight because the sun is pretty close to going down. So by the time I get all this stuff done, it might be a half hour, 45 minutes, and it's gonna be about dusk. So I don't want to take this thing out and smoke a deer with it, like I said in the last video. So I'm gonna try and get all this stuff taken care of, get it all buttoned up, get the catch can on it, and then after I get the catch can on, and after we run it through a heat cycle, I'm probably gonna start wiring the USB plugs into this car so I can mount my tablet. I did order the mount, so now I just gotta wait for that to get here. Hopefully it'll be here by next weekend. I have an old 7-inch LG tablet that I'm gonna use that has the Torque Pro app on there. I did take that app and I plugged it into the caliber, and I used my phone, and it's pretty close. I mean, by the time I shift it, it might be 100 or 200 RPM off, but like I said before in a couple videos ago, if I went that route and there was a delay with RPM and a shift light with that app using my tablet, what I can do to get around that is I could just set the shift light sooner. So I would be able to check the tablet where I shifted, because it will log itself with the Torque app, and then I can check the logger with HP tuners and see where it says I'm shifting. And if I want to shift this thing at 61 or 6200 and I'm shifting on the tablet at 5900 and the HP tuner says it was 61, I'll bump it up 200 RPM or 100 RPM or whatever. But I can use the two to compare it to set that shift light exactly where I need it. So we at least got that part figured out. I'll be able to use the tablet to see intake air temp, coolant temp, vehicle speed, and RPM. Vehicle speed really isn't a huge deal. RPM and water temp were really the only two that I was concerned with, but being able to use this tablet and see these other functions is gonna be nice. I wish the racing meter would show throttle position. It don't. The regular Torque app does, but for some reason they don't have that PID set up with their racing meter app, so I'm not gonna be able to see that, but HP tuners can, and it's not like something I really pay attention to, but I do like to use it to reference response. I did comment on Suicide MX3. He has a channel, and he built a twin engine MX3. So he was trying to bleed the cooling system, and he didn't have a funnel or nothing. And I sent him a message and I told him about it. He said, man, this thing really saved my life. You know, really nice tool to have. And so I told him, I said, man, I've used these in the shop. They're really nice. They're only like 20 to 25 bucks on Amazon. Now this one is a Matco. Now if you want to look it up, it's a SFF2LA, spill-free funnel by Matco. And this is what it is. So basically there is a little insert that goes inside the water net that would take up the void, so you don't have to worry about losing coolant out of your breather here, out of your overflow port. And then it comes with an array of caps that you would thread on, and then this funnel just kind of pops into that adapter. Probably get a little bit on the floor, but oh well. Yeah, so that's what you would get with it, and that's what the tool is. It's really nice to have. Like I said, it is very, very, very convenient. So I'm gonna cap this back off, make sure I don't. And it's nice when you have this lid because then you don't have to worry about like bugs or dust or dirt or something getting in there if you let the car sit like that. But I do have another one in the toolbox here. I'm gonna get that set up on his car. I'm gonna fill this guy up with water. I'm gonna work on mounting this. I'm gonna work on figuring out if I want to route this catch can. And then as soon as that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up, check for the oil leak, make sure we come up to temperature, make sure it doesn't bubble or overheat. And as long as everything else is good, then tomorrow I'll get out here, I'll warm the car up, we'll take it for a rip, and then I'll send the log and the file to our other buddy Mark. He did mention that he is interested in helping us out with the tuning on the car, so I'm gonna pull the file, I'm gonna send it to him. I'm gonna get a good session log tomorrow where I'm not just shredding tires. Then he'll look it over, see what he thinks of it. And then Mark did say that he wanted to turn the car down a little bit, and it does have a manual boost controller, so I might just take a couple clicks out of it and see what it does. See how far back we can pull it. And be honest with you, when I was driving the car yesterday, I didn't even look to see how much boost it made. HP Tuners has a little glitch in there, and when it reads over, I think it's over 255 kPa, it just kind of goes blank, it just kind of freaks out and it doesn't want to log it anymore. It just drops down to like nothing. And then as soon as it drops under that 255 mark, like 254.9 or 0.8, then it starts logging map pressure again. So I don't know how much boost the car made. I got to look at the log, see if it did pick it up, probably somewhere about 25, 26. I'm going to take some pressure off of the boost controller, and then I might do that before I take it for another ride. We'll see. I mean, the ECM is meant to see a difference of pressure. Hopefully the tune's written for lower pressure. We'll find out, but we are going to take some out of it. We're going to take it back out. We're going to make another rip, and we're going to send the log and the calibration file to Mark, see what he wants to do with it, and then wait for him to get back with me. But like I said, first things first, we're going to get the funnel set up in here. We're going to get this guy bled out. I will post a link for one of these funnels in my description here, so you guys can go on and purchase one if you like what you see. It's a really nice tool to use. Really convenient. It avoids making a huge mess, and then when you're done, you put that plunger in it, and then you can fill your overflow up if you have one that you can fill up. The ones that I have on these cars, I can't just fill the overflow up with the extra. That's not how the system works. It's not going to drop back in. So let me get this stuff done, and then we'll see where we're at with the night. And then, like, if I got enough time, I'm going to try and figure out. I'll go grab my tablet. I'll hold it up and try and figure out where I want to try and mount it in the car. And then I'll see what I got for wire and where I can mount the plug. This guy right here, this is just a 2-wire, just kind of a round thing, but it has 2 USB ports on it. And I'm just gonna use this to mount it to the plastic somewhere. This thing like right here, or even over here. I guess I'm not 100% sure, I'll figure it out. Right here would be easy enough, because then I could just walk up to the car and plug it and unplug it or whatever without really having to dig in and, mess with it. I'm known to change my mind. It might happen, but I need to focus on this car here first. My mind's wandering, so I haven't touched my cars in a couple days, and I'm kind of jonesing, but I do have parts coming so we can start making forward progress again. I still got to flip the brake. I haven't done that yet, but I'll take care of that when we're ready to actually worry about it and use that brake. For right now, I can still drive the car. I don't have to have the staging brake to do anything else with it, so let's get this one going here instead of rambling on about my other car. So like I said, it comes with an array of adapters. These are all the pieces. So for his car, it's probably going to be this one. I think this is the neon one anyway. We got the catch can in, got the check valve in here. If you put your check valve in line between the manifold and the catch can won't see boost, the PCV holes won't see boost, which will in turn keep the crankcase from seeing boost. And I've heard people complain about catch cans with the sight glass. It's a boost leak, you can never fix it. Not if you put the check valve in front of it. Because like I said, boost pressure comes back, hits the valve, and it will not make it past this point, so this can will never see pressure. The port that I used for the catch can, whoever put the car together had this T in here, and it went from like a 5/16 hose to a 5/16 hose, and then they had the fuel pressure regulator tied into the small nipple here. So the idea of this is actually pretty small. 5/16 adapter piece was definitely not going to work with this 3/8, because that's what it should have been, is 3/8. So I got the 3/8 line on there, and I didn't have any T's that would go like a 3/8 in line and then have this 1/4 inch hose come off the side. I thought I did, but apparently I used them all. That seems to be the theme when I'm working on this car here, is if I need something, I've already used it. So I'm gonna have to stock up on some parts. I'm starting to realize what I don't have anymore after the past couple projects that we've done and working with our car here. But what I did was, they also had this reducer, and this is what went to the manual boost controller. So they had that 5/16 down to a 1/4 inch line, and they ran that into the boost controller. So what I did when I changed this was all the 3/8 lines for the catch can, and then I did a 3/8 barb that goes to a 3/8 hose to that same size adapter, and then that line goes back and it Ys. And when it Ys, it goes into the fuel pressure regulator and the manual boost controller. And the reason I had to put these here is because these need to actually see boost. If the fuel pressure regulator don't see boost, it ain't gonna make more fuel pressure than base. If the manual boost controller don't ever see boost, it'll never open, and this thing will make gobs of power if that's the case. We don't really want that to happen, so I'm not trying to take this thing out for a rip and see 40 pounds off the turbo. So you got to make sure that if you're using something to tee into a fuel pressure regulator and a manual boost controller or something like that, and you don't have a port that comes off the compressor cover of the turbo that you can use for a boost controller, then you're going to want to make sure that you put these guys in front of the check valve if you use this. So yeah, so that's that. So now I'm going to start it up, and we're going to see if we got any leaks, make sure that we don't have any bubbles or anything in the cooling system. So when I first put it together, I kept getting a bunch of little bubbles out of it, and I was wondering what the deal was. And then I took my tool apart and found out, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's cracked. So the last time it got used, it must have got busted, and I didn't notice it, but it's got this crack right here, and then on this side as well. But it was letting air in, and it was actually burping coolant back out of this overflow hose here. So I'm gonna try and see if this will stay. I'm hoping it does. It might vibrate its way back out of here, and I hope it don't, but I guess we'll play that by ear. But catch can is in. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fire this guy up. We're gonna run it through a heat cycle, make sure that we don't overheat, see where the fans come on, and then we will go ahead and get this guy stuffed all back together. Gotta love ethanol. So I got tools and stuff strewn everywhere, so while that car warms up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start putting some of my stuff away. So I'm gonna put the camera down, but I'll bring you guys back in after we get this thing up to temperature. So if you noticed all that splashing out of that funnel, that was a thermostat opening and letting out a bunch of air. But it's got heat now. We got her flowing. It's coolant temp right now is about 175, 180. Small little teeny bit of air that's coming through yet from whatever air got left over in the system, but it's looking pretty good actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put some more water in this bottle. That way I can get ready if it decides to drink another bunch of it. And all over myself. Put it up a little bit here. I bet you this heat's something like 140, 150 degrees. Let's find out. Just because. So I got my thermometer, and we're gonna see how hot this heat is. The fans did just come on. It drank some coolant, and that heat is still pretty warm. Looks like we're at about 185 right now. I don't know if it's gonna grade a glare or if your camera's gonna be able to pick that up. But that heat right now is about 149 degrees coming out of that dash vent. That's some wicked heat. The cam sensor is dry. So, looks like we fixed it. Put our catch can in. We got coolant back in the car. It didn't keep bubbling out once it came up to temperature like it did the first time. The first time when you guys seen it kind of rushing out of there, if it would have kept doing that, then we probably had a head gasket problem. But it didn't. The thermostat opened up, let out a rush of air, and then I filled it back up and we started it, went through a couple, let it go through a couple oscillations. I think the fans came on twice after the thermostat opened, and then it went up to 200 and then come back down and sucked in a little bit of coolant each time. So we're in a pretty good spot. I think our coolant situation is going to be okay for now. I'm just going to have to figure out what to do with an overflow. I'm going to pick up a small filter so I can cap this off, because this is the fresh air inlet for the crankcase system. So we want a filter here, that way it pulls air in and it's not pulling in dirty air, and then the intake system can utilize the crankcase system the way it's supposed to. There is a car show tomorrow in Unionville. I'm probably gonna go inside and get cleaned up. We're gonna wake up in the morning, we're gonna clean the caliper a little bit. We're gonna take that up to the Unionville car show, hang out, show some support. And after that, we're gonna leave and come back home. And actually, I'm gonna, before we leave, or while she's cleaning, as long as it's dry, I'm gonna take this car out in the morning and we're gonna make some RIT. And what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna go on a longer drive this time, get some heat in the tire. That way when I come back down my road and I start whacking it, I'm not worried about just shredding them. So we'll get some heat in the tire, hopefully it'll hold the road a lot better. And then we'll get the log, or we'll get a log pulled. I'll put the GoPro on so we can monitor air fuel. And then I can send the log to Mark, as well as the calibration file that I pull out of the car when I save it. And then we'll see what he wants to do with it, and then we'll go from there. But as far as it goes on our side, guys, I think we're pretty much done. I got the catch cans in. Like I said, I got to figure out what's going on for coolant overflow yet, or if he wants to do that himself. I'll message Mark and see what he wants to do. And then I got the gear set shoved in the car, and I fixed this oil leak. So we made some strides with it. We're definitely getting places. So checking things off the list, and then as soon as we're done with this one, then it's full swing on these two guys again. So as soon as I can get this car done, I got all the time in the world. Well, I don't have all the time in the world, but I will have a bunch of time where I can try and dedicate it to these two. So I'm gonna get cleaned up, guys. I'm gonna wrap this one up for the night. You have yourself a good one. Stay safe, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.